Hello, and welcome to this webcast about how to unleash the power of your data. I'm Ann Taylor, contributing editor with IDG and your host for this discussion, which is brought to you by IDG, HPE, and TechPower. Today we'll look at the challenges with managing data storage everywhere, from on-prem to edge and cloud, and we'll also examine how to ease the pains around this complexity to ensure always-on data for the business. Let me introduce our speakers. Sundip Arora is the Senior Director of Hybrid Cloud Storage and Big Data Solutions with HPE. Sundip has held a variety of technical and consulting roles and has a great deal of expertise in storage and solution architecture. Sundip, thanks for being here.
And thank you for having me. Really excited to be here with Greg and TechPower.
Wonderful. Also joining us is Greg Abbott. He is the Senior Solutions Architect with TechPower. Greg has more than 30 years of IT experience, and for the past 18 years, he has focused on enterprise storage and servers. Greg, welcome.
Thanks so much, Ann. Really glad to be here and talking with you and Sundip.
Well, let's get started by setting some context. Managing data, no matter where it lives, and ensuring there is instant availability of data for the business has become a tall task for IT. Sundip, could you talk about how we got to this level of complexity?
Absolutely. Well, there isn't a company that is not on a path of digital transformation. The reason they're on this path is because of the explosion of data across a variety of different places that it was born and it lives. A lot of data now is being created at the edge. Think electric cars. Think of anything that is running a production line. A lot of that data also lives in the cloud now, where most of the data processing is happening for new age applications. And then a ton of data now also lives at the core, where you've got high performing requirements to run things like artificial intelligence programming, to run databases, ERPs, and so on and so forth. The problem has been that all this data, while extremely valuable to harvest, is really difficult to manage, especially in the forms that it stays in. And what we've seen is that customers over the last few years are asking us to go away from the idea of managing storage, which again, like I said, Anne, has become extremely difficult, to trying to uncover insights from their data regardless of where it was born and where it lives. Managing storage would have meant a few years ago being able to understand the complexities of these complex hardware platforms. How do you create LUNs? How do you manage performance profiles? Doing root cause analysis of issues when there is a slowdown on the application layer. Extremely difficult to do for the human. What we've talked about is this infrastructure complexity becomes even more complex when you start to look at the variety of use cases that are reliant on the data. Here's some on the screen now. Disaster recovery, you've got storage ops folks, you want data in production, you want data in dev test to be able to test it. A lot of this data is in what we call data lakes, where it's used for analytics. And the amount of time spent on managing this complexity just means that we are not able to action on the transformation. This is how we got here, and this is the core of the problem.
It makes a lot of sense. And Greg, I'm curious, are you seeing similar trends or concerns among TechPower customers?
We absolutely are. Yeah, they are identifying with these concepts and this messaging. They may not be able to articulate it. So when they hear it articulated from us or HP counterparts, you see the lights go on and they instantly say, yeah, that's the problem we're having. So absolutely, yes, the HP is right on target with these ideas.
So, Sundip, what is HPE's vision around how organizations can effectively address these transformation challenges and requirements?
Well, Anne, I'm glad you asked. So, working with our partners like TechPower, the goal is to try to reimagine data management. And I say this with the utmost sincerity, and I don't want people to laugh it off as a marketing term. What we're calling unified data ops is essentially our vision of how in the future transformation will be completely data-driven. As in, The insights from the data will tell us how to transform how we manage it and how we use it. And there are three core components of this unified data ops strategy. The first one is that it has to be, and I underline this, it absolutely has to be AI-driven. You cannot imagine that humans will be capable of trying to process billions and billions of points of information to try to extract some sort of intelligence from it. We've come to a point where artificial intelligence operations allows us to look at how data is being utilized, how infrastructure is being utilized across the globe through a tool called InfoSight, and it gives us recommendations. The more data it collects, the better it gets at providing really good proactive recommendations. So AI-driven is a core component of it. Along with AI-driven, it has to be completely data-centric, by which I mean that automation, policy-driven, where a lot of tooling is created to automate day-to-day functions that, I think humans should not necessarily be involved in. We've got technology to be able to run mundane day-to-day functions through automation tools. And then finally, the operations of managing your entire infrastructure and data should be completely cloud native, right? We are in an age right now where we can't necessarily afford to manage some infrastructure on premises, other on the cloud. It really all needs to have the same agility and the efficiency that comes from cloud native management operations. And that's exactly what HPE is providing and calling out within the unified data ops. This idea of AI-driven, data-centric, and cloud-native technologies to manage your data. And really, it runs through the gamut in terms of who takes advantage of this, right? IT management, your everyday data center admins. Imagine if we could tell them that you're going to spend less than 15, 20% of your actual time in managing your infrastructure, and the rest of your time can be focused on working on transformation projects or innovation within the organization. The same goes for the line of business owners, the application owners, the folks that have to make sure that applications are running smoothly and they're getting a competitive edge in terms of getting to time to market, getting more value out of the data, understanding behavior and trends from consumers. The data scientists, see this as a great opportunity to be able to get faster access to data, be able to do self-service provisioning, and then the folks who actually manage the operations see a lot of benefit from this as well.
So, Greg, I'm going to lean on you again here in terms of speaking in terms of your customers, because you work with them day to day. And so I'm curious if this HPE vision resonates with what they're dealing with and what you're hearing.
Yes, and yes. I want to touch on one thing. Well, the focus of what Sundip just described is probably one of the best descriptions I've heard from HP, honestly. And one of the things that stands out is how do you put feet on these marketing terms? And he just did a really good job. So two things. First, our larger customers are definitely feeling the pain of the complexity. It's hard to think of any of them that are overstaffed, right? That just doesn't happen very often. So everybody is stretched thin. So unifying their environments, when we talk about these concepts, often it's like water to somebody who's really thirsty, right? They love the ideas, especially when we can take it from marketing speak to here's how this is going to impact you. And then secondly, our smaller customers, and we've got a lot of them who have the same needs as their enterprise friends, they just don't have all the same budget. So providing them the quote-unquote enterprise class features for their more modest requirements is a lifesaver to them also.
Interesting. Yeah, that's great to hear that we're all marching towards the same path. Sundip, I'm going to come back to you again. In terms of HPE's vision for this reduced complexity and accelerated transformation, how does it translate into HPE's product innovations?
Yeah, exactly right. It's not just about vision and marketing. It has to translate to actual stuff that customers can get access to.
Right.
And that's where I really want to stress that this is not the HPE of we've taken such an aggressive stance in the market, and I'm so proud to say that we're leading the market when it comes to delivering on the vision with actual products that work today. This is not a future promise. So there are two products that we introduced back in May. The first one was called Data Services Cloud Console. Data Services Cloud Console is central to everything that HPE is going to do going forward. And to Greg's point, customers, especially the large customers who are managing a ton of disparate infrastructure, are really, really asking for this. They want to simplify their IT operations, and DSCC, in short, does that for them. It's a single pane of glass management and operations console for them to manage their entire HPE infrastructure from the cloud. And this is not just the ability to manage that infrastructure, but also to add new value-added services, to take advantage of things like InfoSight that drive automation in simple things like provisioning and looking for root cause analysis, performance issues, capacity issues, and so on and so forth, right? That's what Data Services Cloud Console does. And it's as-a-service subscription product. So customers basically pay for this just like they would pay for a tier of service on AWS or Azure. Pay a monthly subscription fees for this, and you get access to your entire portfolio of infrastructure products from HPE. The second on the right is HPE Alletra, which is the branding that we are using for all HPE storage products going forward. Essentially, all of these products that we have, regardless of which case they fit, right? Tier 0, Tier 1, really fast performance, general performance, backup, they all will be branded under this umbrella brand called Alletra. They'll all look the same in terms of the look and the feel, but their function will be very different. The Alletra is going to come in two flavors, 6,000 and 9,000. The 9,000s essentially are the high-end Tier 0, really good performance, and then the 6,000s are the nimble legacy DNA products which have super simplified management, ease of use, general purpose platforms. And you'll see that same branding used for all HPE products going forward. The idea there is, hey, let's not put the user in the position to have to understand the technicalities of the hardware and where to position what application and workload in. Let the application, the Data Services Cloud Console operations module do that for them. And this is some of the cloud data services that customers get access to day one. Access all of their data, regardless of where it sits, right, in a single place. Be able to run protection schemes on it, backup and recovery, do a 360 search, edge to cloud visibility, whether that data sits in the cloud or on the data center on premises. Be able to do things like mobility back and forth between on-premises data storage and cloud data storage. And then over time, we're adding things like easy upgradability, right? Single-click upgradability, optimizing through intelligence and giving you recommendations on where to do workload placement. Being able to do things like adding a migration service really quickly. So essentially, the easy way of thinking about this, take the cloud experience you have today in AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud Platform. We are bringing that cloud experience everywhere, down to your data center, integrated experience to move data back and forth between up in the cloud or a private cloud that you may have hosted.
Yeah, I think this is really interesting, the idea that you can take away some of that heavy workload of migration and figuring out workload placement. Greg, you alluded to the fact that some customers have small IT teams, and this can be burdensome. Are there specific functionalities or capabilities that particularly resonate here with you?
Yes, I was just thinking of all the customers that we've been really successful with and sold multiple tiers of storage and helped them with a hybrid cloud setup, and it's all disparate. So our success has helped create complexity, and now we're giving them a way to bring that all into the fold, manage it from one place, the easy data protection. Yeah, this is tremendous. But there's one feature on this that I don't think is called out on the slides, but is a huge game changer, and there's a continuous compliance tile in this mix that is probably too small to see on here, which bubbles up depending on which of the, I don't know what the number is, 125 to 150 different regulations that you can check. Hey, we need to comply with this, PCI or HIPAA, or whatever that is on your list. It bubbles up how they're doing against those regulations and certifications and gives them a targeted hit list with the most critical items bubbling up to the top. That's just an amazing add-on to everything else here that has made their life better already. So we're looking forward to walking customers through this. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, and I think I appreciate that tie-in to compliance, Greg. Great point. And the other thing I want to make sure our customers understand, right, that this isn't a product that we built yesterday. The basis for Data Services Cloud Console is essentially a common cloud platform that's been in development at HPE for 7+ years. It started with our acquisition of Aruba, which is a brilliant acquisition. What came with Aruba was essentially a cloud platform to manage Aruba edge devices. And we have customers using that for over 7 years with 90,000+ customers. And imagine the secure design to be able to keep those edge devices secure now being used and leveraged for development of the entire HPE's cloud platform. The fact that this was built for Aruba devices was important in stating because it was cloud native. This microservices architecture was built so that we could do things like super rapid deployment. I could deploy a new service, I could push it out, test it out, and you would see it as an icon on Cloud Data Services Console. And this is exactly the kind of innovation that customers are asking for. And I think it's important to note that it changes kind of the functions, or I should say that right now the onus is always on the person managing the storage to do a lot of the day-to-day tasks, right? What this does is it moves it away from I need to provision a LUN to I have an intention that I need to do something to help my business. And that something could be I need a farm for VDI users, 500 VDI users, and we're calling it intent-based provisioning, which changes it from a storage provisioning paradigm to a workload provisioning paradigm. This is extremely important because now you can bring in line of business owners. And to Greg's earlier point, IT spending is not increasing, right? So you can actually you don't need a 3-tier team to run your compute application and storage infrastructure. You could merge those tiers and do more with less essentially. And the idea that you can manage this from anywhere, right? You be on the beach, log on to Data Services Cloud Console in a very secure fashion and be able to understand what's happening with your infrastructure. Now, one thing we haven't talked about yet, which is really important, is this fits really well within HPE GreenLake, which is basically our as-a-service, pay-as-you-go model for all of your infrastructure that is bought from HPE. And this fits perfectly in it because it gives you a consumption option and a buyback, bill-back option to your internal customers. And then finally, I'll leave you with this slide here. It also allows us to automate at scale. When we built the vision for Unified Data Ops, it wasn't with an understanding that this will be the only tool our customers use, right? Not naive enough to know that customers use a host of different automation and orchestration tools. This was built with a completely open API microservices architecture, which allows us to fit into a lot of the big automation platform as a service, software as a service tools, and HPE GreenLake from us, and then any partner applications that are out there. So easy for you to use that API to merge in the functionality.
Great. And I want to dig a little bit more into Alletra and some of the functionality and capabilities that Alletra and the Data Services Console allow. for organizations, to solve some of the complexity issues that they're dealing with. Sandeep, could you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I mentioned, right, so Alletra was announced in May of this year. It is at the core a set of storage hardware products from HPE that works with Data Services Cloud Console. The core of Alletra are two main products. The Alletra 9000. This is essentially, if you're familiar with the three-part legacy, then that became Primera. This is using the same DNA as HPE Primera, allowing us to build on that active multi-node architecture in the backend, so you get maximum performance and scalability. But this is built for and off NVMe. So this is an NVMe end-to-end platform with NVMe media, front and back end, that allows you to take advantage of this exciting new protocol, which is changing essentially the storage performance game, right? And then the 6000 is essentially built off the DNA of Nimble Storage, an acquisition we made a few years ago, which just brings super simplicity of operations and the support experience along with it for general workloads. And both of these available as a service through GreenLake. Then the differentiation between the 9000 and the 6000 really comes down to a few things. One is an active multi-node platform, which comes with 100% availability guarantee. And this is unique in the industry, right? We are actually guaranteeing that you have zero downtime if you are running Alletra 9000. And there's a standard benefit that comes along with this, and there's a payback if for whatever reason we can't meet this availability guarantee. And this platform provides the best, or if not one of the best, performance density in the industry. We can run 96 SAP HANA nodes in 4U as an example. And like I said before, this is an active cluster, which means that large databases, ERP systems, things that require really fast performance and the ability to do large-scale consolidation would be a perfect platform for the NVMe-based Alletra 9000. And then the Alletra 6000 is the super efficient platform where you'll see that extreme data efficiency that allows you to store more and less, provides performance for mission-critical workloads, and has a 6 nines availability guarantee behind it. The 6000 also is based on NVMe, perfect for test dev and database environments, VM farms, VDI farms, because it provides for really flexible scaling. Right? You get the benefit of operational simplicity that Nimble always was known for, but you also get the ease of scaling up and out with the 6000s. Yeah, and the best part about this, right, which we often ignore to talk about, is the support experience. Now, when you put yourself in the shoes of a customer, you've got to understand that their challenges have always been making sure that they get a support experience that allows them to live their lives. They're not spending their days and nights in the data center, allows them to innovate more at their core capabilities and job, and then automates a lot of the functions that drive that support experience. And that's what we are seeing with our existing platforms going into Alletra. The automation through InfoSight, the AI Ops allows us to reduce the number of storage tickets by up to 73%. Our customers are telling us that they're spending 85% less on troubleshooting storage, right? In fact, most of the support tickets that are created through InfoSight are created automatically with zero intervention from the customer. In fact, are also closed automatically without the customer ever having to pick up the phone. The root cause is determined in a really rapid manner, even if it exists outside of the storage layer, because with cross-stack analytics, we can go into the virtualization layer to understand where the problem might be. So, the support experience combined with the performance of NVMe, combined with the ability to manage this from a cloud platform and data services cloud console, and be also able to run this in a hybrid fashion is really what makes it great.
You've given me a perfect segue, Sundip, into my next question for you, which is we're talking about Electra and GreenLake and the Data Services Cloud Council. What are some of the benefits and outcomes that organizations can achieve? Obviously, IT leaders want to know what are the outcomes that they can achieve from their investments.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll see some of these numbers flashed up on the screen here, right? 99% operational time savings and the guaranteed availability platform and so on and so forth. But hey, I want to make this a little bit more real. We've heard from our customers saying, hey, the ability for you to open and close support tickets has allowed me to spend more time with my family. And when we hear that, that just becomes real, right? Or our customers telling us that they were able to take on additional projects that they weren't able to do before because of the complexities of just managing disparate architecture and spending most of the time in troubleshooting. And then finally, the ability for our customers to not have to worry about understanding every piece of data, letting the application understand that, and then give our customers the recommendations on workload placement as an example, or on how to maximize performance, or how to maximize capacity efficiency, right? All those are outcomes that have allowed our customers to then focus more on serving their business in a core fashion, whether that's helping build new innovative solutions for their customer problems, or getting their applications market faster, or in cases where it would have taken them days or sometimes weeks to set up a new cluster for a new application or business line, but they were able to do this in a matter of minutes. You can just imagine when you save that much time and headache, it frees you up to do a lot more. And I'd love to hear your views on that, Greg, as well.
I'm so enjoying all of this, Sundip. I'm walking down memory lane here and thinking of all the HP solutions that we've been working with to help customers over, a decade or more. And a long time ago, we were very focused on the speeds and feeds and making sure they were as efficient as possible and getting the workloads accomplished. And in more recent years, especially with the acquisition of Nimble, a few years back, and bringing InfoSight into the picture and allowing this ease of use and some of the automation, and now, of course, with the cloud console that we've talked about, it's really making a huge difference for customers in moving them along from just everything runs fast and it runs great to now making the support experience so much better than anything we've had in the past and better than our competition. I love hearing those stories as well. Yeah,
that's great. Thanks for adding that color to that, Greg, too. I mean, as you say, you're dealing with this. You've been dealing with this for decades as an HPE partner. That's really insightful. Sundip, before we run out of time, I want to make sure we can also address how organizations can take advantage of these innovations from HPE. What are some of the ways that HPE makes this possible?
Yeah, thanks for the question. And it's obviously we have these solutions. Work with Greg and the wonderful team at TechPower to understand more about them, get demos and so on and so forth. But we're trying to make it a little bit more incentivized for our customers to move away from other storage products that don't have the letters HPE in them. And we want to do that by saying, listen, not only are you getting a better experience, as Greg mentioned, right? You're getting newer storage or newer data management solution, cloud-based, NVMe-based, denser, which means you're going to save on power and cooling. You'll go away from the large, complex footprint, et cetera, et cetera. You guys get that. But I know it's not easy for customers to make a transition. I know that because I've been on the other side of this. If you're a Dell EMC or a NetApp or a Hitachi or any of those other competitive product users, I get it. There is a certain familiarity with those solutions. There's a learning curve that you want to make sure you have to overcome. There is some risk that's involved in moving away from that to a different vendor. But I assure you, right, it's not just about the platform. We want to, with our partners, we want to be true partners with the customers in this journey, to which end HPE has put together a really comprehensive, best-in-class program to help you modernize from old storage to Alletra. And that is by offering up to $100,000 in trade-in credits. If you're trading in your older storage device, you can be eligible for a rebate check of up to $100,000. We will take on the risk of data migration for you, understanding that could be a concern. We'll offer you free data migration services for a short time. Not only that, we'll also help you with data sanitization, right? You need to make sure your data is sanitized and secure, and we've got services that we'll provide for free, help you sanitize the data in the older storage arrays. In fact, we'll even come up there and pack it up for you and ship it out, right? So essentially, holding hands in this process together. So there is a partnership here, again, because we understand the risk that customers have to take in choosing their provider and moving providers. So you can get more information for all these offers from TechPower, and obviously reach out to your storage rep. And our partners in the software-defined storage domain have also offered up some offers here, right? So if you're looking for a migration platform, Commvault is a great partner of ours. If you're looking for software-defined backup and recovery, Cohesity is offering free licenses. Zoto migration licenses is an acquisition we just made. And then if you're looking for storage beyond just HPE, we've got a partnership with Scality, so on and so forth. So a lot of offers to help our customers make the move.
That's great. Thank you, Sundip. Greg, take us home. There's a lot that we've gone through today. We've covered a lot of ground. What would you suggest to our listeners in terms of next steps? Where should they start when thinking about gaining that data everywhere experience?
Okay, three thoughts come to mind. Number one, all the concepts that Sundip and I have talked about, some of them are new for people, at least the new HP names and terms around the ideas. So we would be delighted to help customers with demos of these things, any of the individual items that have been talked about, or we can do an overview. And because the person listening may say, oh, I need 2 or 3 different team members to get up to speed on this as well. So we are well equipped to walk people through those demos and familiarize yourself with the concept and say, aha, this is how these pieces will fit in our environment. Secondly, on the previous screen, there was a handful of ways that customers can save money in the migrations. And with TechPower, we partner with each of those customers or each of those partners, so we can help customers take advantage of all of those savings opportunities, from the migration to the licenses, all those things. We work with each one of these folks. And then lastly, one of the pieces that we've been really successful with our customers is an assessment tool called Cloud Physics. Before HP purchased them, I was using this tool with a handful of different customers, and then end of last year, HP purchased this company, so now it's all part of the fold. So we're delighted, and I've been able to get some of the early assessments done, and the things we can help customers accomplish are significant. Number one is they can identify workloads where maybe database licensing is spread across a wide variety of systems, and we can centralize that. We've helped customers save hundreds of thousands of dollars in their database licensing, enough to pay for entire refresh projects. And, if that's not the concern, then just getting your arms around, say, we've got old technology. How is that going to migrate onto new technology? This assessment will let us accurately pinpoint that workload and help determine how we can consolidate different workloads onto different devices and make it the most efficient possible. So those are 3 things that jump right off the top to me, and hopefully those are helpful.
That's great. I think that's great food for thought in terms of figuring out what you most need to solve for, whether that's time efficiencies, cost efficiencies, but there's a lot of different advantages and opportunities to take advantage of. Thank you. Thank you both, Sundip and Greg, for a great discussion today, for sharing these recommendations and your insights for our audience. I just also want to thank our listeners for listening to taking part today. Please be sure to check out the additional information in the resources section of the console. And on behalf of IDG, HPE, and TechPower, thanks for listening.